episode, or number 6, I guess you can call it. With me is Kiteera
Hello there.
and the general himself, Radhasvi.
Hello.
So this is a first, which I hope is going to be, more in the series to come. But basically, the concept here is that we get two people in the guild, two characters who have, a relationship with each other, be it notorious or whatnot, and kind of explore that chemistry between each other and the dynamic. So first, I want to ask you two is what is like the first encounter between your two characters, whether it be like something written or actually in game, like in an RP sense.
I'll go ahead and start off with that. Our very, very first encounter, way back when I started, Kit was actually my second tune ever, and I was like, oh, I really like this, and oh, I think I'll join a guild, and I just joined some random guild. I don't even remember what the name was really, but this one person originally decided to send me to like infiltrate this other guild named the Scions of the Empire. And I was like, okay, sure. And then so they gave me the name to contact, which was Radhasvi. And so I whispered him, and he basically I don't remember like what exactly was going on, but he was busy or something, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Or if you're still interested, can you get back to me like tomorrow or in a couple days or whatever?" I can't remember now. And I was like, "Oh, okay." Um, and um, and then so uh, a few days later, I actually was walking around on Viking. I walked to the cantina, and I first ran into a Scion, and that was Aconia. And she pretty much told me, she's like, "Oh, I'll have you, speak to our commander. We just call him Commander because his name's really hard to pronounce." I was like, "Oh God, it's that guy. Oh geez, it's that one. It's that guy, isn't it? The one that starts with a B. Bra something. I don't even know." And when I started our ping and stuff, I really just started not really caring for the other previous guild that I was with briefly. I'm like, this isn't really working, and I started really liking the Scions instead. So my little RP into the Scions of trying to infiltrate them turned into me actually just wanting to join the guild. And so, while RPing with Aconia, she's like, "Oh, he's actually on the way now," and I was like, okay. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And then in comes the commander himself right here. I have no idea what the heck his first impressions of me were, but I hope they were good. General, sir.
So out of character, like Radhasvi, you had like no idea that Kit was like, infiltrating the Scions.
Okay, well, Kit was Kit's being kind there. Her memory was being kind because what happened was, without getting into too much detail, um, this person, the leader of this guild that Kit had joined initially, um, had tried to infiltrate us herself or himself on multiple tunes repeatedly for a couple of weeks, and was extremely was a literally bounce off the walls kind of person in character, at least. Um, and Iconia and I were about to pull our hair out, um, trying to deal with that person in characterly and out of characterly. Um, Kit got in touch with me out of characterly pretty much right after the other person had left the guild. This other person had left our guild on an alt, um, the would-be infiltrator, after after continually walking away from Aconia and I, to check her mail while we were speaking to her, and then slapping me in the face, and then going into a war zone. So Kit caught us at that time, and so I told Kit, I'm sorry, but I cannot, because this person had mentioned Kit's name at one point.
Really?
Suggested that we recruit Kit. And so I'm like, when I hear from Kit, I'm like, I'm really sorry, but we've just had this person name such and such waste an inordinate amount of our time, and I really just can't spare anymore for a few days. So if you're still willing after a few days, I'd love to catch up with you then. And, you know, next thing a few days later, there's Draconia saying, look who I found. And, yep, there they are, standing at Viking, and I suddenly feel awful because I realize that Kit is, a legitimately awesome person and a legitimately awesome character.
Yay.
So it was a happy turn of fortune that owes a lot to Kit's perseverance.
Wow. I didn't realize that they mentioned my name and were like, hey, you should recruit this person. Wow. I didn't know that.
I just find it hilarious that you actually slapped Radhasvi. I think you would have done Lynn proud.
Yeah, the other Kit would never have slapped her.
Oh, okay.
Oh gosh, no.
I misunderstood.
Okay.
Oh gosh, no. I would not slap him unless I was like really, 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 really drunk or something. Maybe. Very
Okay,
small maybe.
So from like an RP standpoint then, like how would you say like the first impressions, like, from your character's point of view of each other?
Well, on my end, when I first saw him, he pretty much, just appeared extremely, extremely professional, just like, no joking around type person. He was actually kind of intimidating. When I first started playing with him. I'm like, I don't want to like do something wrong. I'm not sure how to behave around him. I just wasn't sure, but I just tried my best, and I guess just figured my way into things. I don't know. How are things on your end?
No, that's really funny. You're intimidated. That's good. I was doing something right. Honestly, at that point, Radhasvi was already, it wasn't at its worst in characterly, but, he was commander of one of the companies of the Silence at that point, and kind of more or less, running the show, kind of, because Shalmanazar is kind of a distant and detached, in characterly, guild leader. So, little did we know. But, so Kit comes along at a good time, though, at a time where Radhasvi is really, really looking for good, solid, normal-ish, will kind of follow orders, more or less, fall in line, kind of, soldier type, someone willing to play the soldier, basically. And Kit was there and eager. She was just, most of my earliest in-character memories of Kit have to do with tauntauns. But how much this gal loved tauntaun. I would see a tauntaun, go, oh, I want to go play with the tauntauns, and one of the first things that Kit did with us, I think, was come to, I mentioned it in a couple other contexts, but come to Hoth for a duel tournament that Shalmanazar was hosting. She was the lowest level person there by far. Didn't really have anyone legitimately duel, in PvP. But we were just really impressed that she came anyway, even though she was about 20 levels below where she should have been to be on that planet. And there she was, just kind of free. She kept shivering, emoting shivering, and that's the Kiteera sickle. That was the Kiteera sickle.
That was also where the whole thing with the elevator started, because I had death by elevator like twice in a row on frickin' Hoth. Yep.
So what's this elevator story?
it was simple. Stand on the frickin' elevator and just go up. It was that simple. But no, I had to like be too close. Ooh, sorry. I had to be too close to the edge, and I somehow like glitched and slipped through and fell to my death, and everyone knew, and it just apparently everyone was really amused by that, and it was bad enough. But then I don't remember how I ended up dying again, but it ended up happening again. And then so it was just a thing where the lift was my mortal enemy. And then every time we went to that friggin' elevator on Hoth, Radhasvi was right there to make sure to tell me to mind the elevator. I was like, thank you, sir. Will do. Thanks. Every time. Like, thanks.
It gets better though. It gets better or worse, because it became infectious. The second time Kit died on the elevator, I was there. I was looking over the edge to try to see if she was okay, and I fell down and died as well.
Oh my gosh. I have infected you. I'm sorry.
One observation like I made with Kiteera and Radhasvi, and you can like correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that perhaps like one of the reasons like where they have like such a strong bond is their appreciation for professionalism. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. Um, the outer shell of Kit is very, her demeanor is very like professional. She's like, I want to straightforward get stuff done, do what's right, and whatnot. But when we started having like issues in the ranks, we had a lieutenant that died, and the other one ended up going missing. Just stuff started going downhill in our company, and then I was just kind of there. I'm like, hey, if you need help with anything, I'm here. I would like to help. And then I remember, I still have the screenshot actually. I have a thing where I like to screenshot like some of my favorite RP moments, so I can quote things later on if I wanted to. But I remember when, I pretty much made it obvious that I wanted to, be a sergeant, in the company. I remember when, he came to talk to me, and at first he was like, oh, if I could make you a sergeant right now, I would, I really would. And then it just looked like, he wasn't going to be able to do it, so I was, just disappointed. And then when he was like, but given the current situation, we really, need extra leadership. And then that moment there, that Sergeant Leonard, do you accept the position? And then he like narrows his eyes as if she had best say yes. I remember was the quote. But just little moments like that. He pretty much watched her, rise up the ranks from brand spanking new member up to sergeant, up to relatively quickly to lieutenant, and then finally when we had the whole mess with Shalmanazar, when Radhasvi became the leader of everyone, and our company needed the new commander, bam, that was me. So you kind of just watched her go from little Kiteera Sickle back on Hoth to commander of a company, and there's just all sorts of little things all along the way that just kind of, I guess, helped build that special little relationship they had.
Yeah, I mean, you said it
I don't know,
really
what
well.
kind of
Yeah.
things you want
I
to
mean, Kit had this
throw in there,
meteoric
Brad?
but much well-deserved in characterly and out of characterly, rise through the ranks and the suns, and Radhasvi was there, just kind of from the beginning, because she was, in his company from the beginning, and a good soldier, and all.
Okay, all right, we're back. We had a little glitch there, but anyways, we're talking about the dynamic between Kit and Radhasvi. There's like one really interesting thing that I noticed between you two is with
Oh.
Radhasvi. He's like pretty like uncompromising with his ideals. Whereas Kit, I mean, although I get the feeling that she's a good person. I mean, she's like a double agent. So in essence, like she's a liar, but yet they still, they have this great relationship with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know where to start with Kit's whole working for two organizations thing. Oh man. Do you have any idea where to start, sir?
Well, I mean, that's really kind of the second. Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the second phase.
Phase two.
Yeah, that's phase two, which we're still in phase two, kind of. Well, see, part of the thing is I don't know how much you want to say about this, Kit. I mean, part of the thing with Radhasvi and Kit's relationship, there are phases marked off somewhat by the particular Kit you happen to be dealing with.
Yeah. Oh man. See on my end, okay, so when I'm RPing with you, so obviously, when Kit's playing her whole I'm commander Lenari thing, to her it's really, that's her secondary thing. To her, her first and foremost thing is she is an agent. That is what she does. She goes into her role, she does what she needs to do. Yada yada yada. But like, so to a lot of people, she does end up just lying to people's faces pretty darn often. But there's just this thing with ya, where little Radhasvi here can just just it just gets to her. She just never forgets, like, the type of relationship that they have. She just earlier on, let me back up. Early on, she pretty much told him that she looked up to him like a father. Like in Kit's backstory, like her dad ended up leaving her and her brother Zyron when they were teenagers, and he just disappeared. Don't know what happened. And then so when Kit came into the Scions, when she started becoming a bit more comfortable around him, around Radhasvi, she just started looking up to him like the father figure, and that pretty much has stuck ever since then. So it's pretty much why she's able to talk to him about some of the things that she's ended up talking to him about. So yeah, there's that.
So does Kit, does she like feel like torn between her loyalty? Well, you said first her loyalty comes to being an agent. So I guess that means that I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Kaleon.
Oh, Kaleon.
Yeah.
See,
yeah. I mean, who's she like more loyal to? Or I mean, if you don't want to reveal that just yet,
oh no, that's fine. Oh no, that's fine. Oh man, yeah. That's something else that I've been like really torn with. Like, 'cause right now I see her as pretty darn equal between the two, but I've always like sat there and thought, like, what if she had to choose one? I'm like, I can't answer that right now. I just can't. But like in terms of like the history stuff, Kaleon came into the picture first. They were in the academy together, Kiteera and Kaleon. So they had a history from pretty early on. And then, they split off after a while, and then he came back into the radar. And then he ended up recruiting her for his organization. But she's sitting there like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, but then she started, just becoming more sure of herself, and she's like, yeah, all right, this is fine. I could do this. It's cool. And so, bam, Agent to Kaleon, commander for the Scions. Oh, and then now Harbingers. So, but yeah, so I'll say that, yes, she is loyal to both sides, But on the Harbinger side, I've told Radhasvi, uh, both out of character and in character, that within the Harbingers, Kiteera is loyal to him, like literally. She's there doing her thing for him. Like the whole like real like seriously, in character, the whole Sathari stuff. She couldn't care less. She's like, whatever. I'm here for him. I'll do what he needs me to do because I am loyal to him. Because that's been a thing, as she's been serving under him and going up the ranks. And when the whole thing with Shalmanazar went down, there was that moment where before we did like the final showdown, he's given his speech, and she was just like, "I am here with you till the end, sir," and that was that. Yeah.
Yeah, there are some, that's something that, oh, that's something that, a sort of mindset that Radhasvi kind of recognized in a few people, in Kit and a few others along the way. He really appreciates people who seem to be more loyal to individual people than to particular people than to say a cause or an organization as such. I mean, that was his philosophy from the beginning, and to the extent that he had an input on the Scions, at least supposed philosophy, that was it. Loyal to individual people, not to a bureaucracy or an idea or anything else, which made the transition to the Harbingers a little interesting in a couple ways. It's relationships were the in-character relationships were kind of the key to that, and connections were the key to that. But getting back to Kit and Radhasvi, yeah, I mean, it was just he's loyal to her, to he has this sense of loyalty not only to whoever he sees as his supposed master, at any given point in time, and he really is to an extent a follower at heart. He's always since early on back with the Scions, he realized pretty quickly that loyalty to his troops, to the people who served under him, that sense of obligation to the people under him, at least the ones who took things seriously and were loyal to him. And so that's kind of the foundation for him. That's the foundation of his bond to Kit, which is, and that's gotten developed through just a lot of specific, incidents. They've been through a lot of crud together. The loss of, Kit's initial, early commanding immediate superiors, Radhasvi's immediate subordinates, lieutenants, and such. There were some tragic and awful, deaths and twists with those characters, and Kit and Radhasvi were the ones who were kind of left trying to comfort other people, comfort the Lieutenant Iconia when Lieutenant Kaluna, died through a tragic kind of family feud sort of thing, and then comforted Iconia. We were just talking, and comforted Iconia again when Iconia had some sort of amnesia effect and re-experienced the death of her friend Kaluna. And again, Kit was there. Kit's the one who, gave Radhasvi the call, and they were the ones who stayed up RP'd staying up all night with, to watch after these other people that they cared for. So Kit was always the one there that he could depend on, and didn't manage not to die in a permanent way.
In a permanent way, yes.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because just recently, I think it was maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, Radhasvi, where we were doing an RP session as the council, and we were discussing the topic of Kiteera being a confirmed infiltrator, and how you were surprised, despite the fact that she's been confirmed an infiltrator, you were very defensive of her, nonetheless.
No.
Yeah. That was a tough spot for. I mean, he went to Kit before he went to the council on that. Um, in a serious way. I mean, he did let the council know. Yeah, he learned his lesson. He's learned his lessons about from back in the Shamanazar days about the dangers of trying to keep information to himself, sensitive information to himself, and being able to handle that and manage that. So he did inform the council and character pretty early on when he was pretty much confirmed that Kit was able to confirm that the Kit did have multiple employers. Um, but then he had a good long face to face, heart to heart with Kit, kind of calling her out on this and the potential, and then just talking it out with her about the problem there, trying to get her to acknowledge that it was a potential security problem, or not an ideal thing, or a potentially worrisome thing for Kit to be working for Kellyanne as well, and also particularly the fact that Kit tried to obscure this from him. He was forgiving, but the idea that Kit tried to cover it up from him is what he used as the foundation for being concerned, taking a hard stance on this with Kit. He's not really ever had to be tough with Kit before. At least not since early on, when Kit started dating a Sith Lord and Papa Radhasvi and Mama Konya decided it wasn't in her best interest and were worried about protecting the poor impressionable girl. But other than that, it isn't that,
That sounds like
Kit 1.0.
That sounds like right there.
Kit 1.0. Oh.
I mean, yeah, I'm just kind of like imagining like Radhasvi being the father figure and just like waiting up like really late at night, and it's like, where have you been? Have you been out with that Sith boy again?
It's funny. I actually had a mistel in guild chat. Okay, so I was RPing with said Sith Lord, and I was being called by Akonia to go meet with her, like right then and there. She was like, waiting for you kind of deal. And so, emoted out, leaning over, giving him a kiss and whatnot. And it's like, oh, I guess I should go see her now. And I hit enter, and it pops up in guild chat, in open comms channel. Yeah, that was. Were you online for that, Brad? I can't remember. I know Akonia was like, well then.
Oh, I was online.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh man, I just ran with it. I wasn't gonna bother going, crap, mistype. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna go through with this. So yeah, that just totally felt like, that just felt like an old teenager getting caught kind of thing. It was funny. After the fact.
Something else I want to bring up too is with Yuka Kiteera. Like while you're like with the science, like pretty much like near the end of like the science run, like you were more or less like Radhasvi's number one, and then like after like the merger, you didn't quite have that stature. So like was Kiteera kind of bitter towards like Radhasvi for that?
Oh man. Yeah, that kind of thing actually did also come up in character. Not really bitter towards him exactly, just like at just the whole situation. We actually had a moment in character where she's just like, it's just not the same anymore. The way we are now, it's not what it used to be like, and I don't like it, basically. Yeah, she's pretty darn straightforward with it. She's like, nothing. It just doesn't feel the same anymore. I don't feel like I've, got the type of power that I used to. Basically, yeah. But you're right though. Like, at the end of the Scions, that's what it did feel like. to a certain point. It kind of felt like I'm Radhasvi's right hand or something. I don't know, but but yeah, after the merger, things just kind of shifted, and she's like, "Well, what the crap? I see you, Miss, you're a council member now. Good for you, sir. Yay! I see you going and doing chatting and doing stuff with them, and I'm just kind of here, and yeah." I don't know
So,
what kinds of things you want to
So,
throw
so
in Radhasvi or
yeah, I mean, it was a very different dynamic, and it was a little, in some ways, Radhasu was extraordinarily relieved in character by the whole shift in situation. It was much preferable to him in any number of ways. But he did, as time went on, until recently, things have changed back a little bit in ways uh, that bring back old habits and old ways of doing things a little bit more. But yeah, there's a while in there after joining the Harbingers where it just felt like um, the difference in dynamic between there's a security there's an emergency, we have an enemy, so top four officers right now, company commander, captain of the guard, meet right now with Osby's ship, have a little council, figure it out, go deal with objectives, as opposed to which is a much different dynamic from we've got these two generals and these three or four, some like five, Sith leaders, counselors who just are kind of often off doing their own things and their plots and their schemes and it just things very sort of dispersed
so I
and
guess
not a concentrate. You don't have that kind of cohesion and concentration of effort, or you didn't for quite a while,
yeah. So
just because of the kinds of things we had going on in our arc. Yeah.
yeah. So I imagine like from like Radasu's point of view, it's the way like some of like the counselors like operate, especially like the Sith counselors, is it's very like counterproductive because of like all the inner plotting involved.
But Basfi is, I mean, he recognizes Sith and that Sith have their ways, and he respects certain Sith very, very much. Um, but yeah, it's a different mode of operation, and and Radhasvi and Kit, I think, shared that in that, there's this sort of listlessness, like, so what are we doing?
yeah.
It's like we're
But
following
that's
these
changed
yahoos
recently.
who are following this this rumor of this like Sithari guy.
Yeah. So I mean, the merger in characterly was a strategic move to help protect us, to help kind of save us. Um, but then as far as like what kind of action you take after that, I mean, it's really taken recent events and culminating in the death of Vicus in character that's kind of started mobilize other counselors, especially Darth Tempest, but and then others into kind of united, having the same kind of a more militant, uh, militant sort of attitude towards things that Radhasvi is then able to you know is able to get back into that old mode and bring Kit and all right and have counsel and start communicating more with Kit and talk can talk strategy and things like this again. So yeah, so that's helped.
Well, that's interesting that you bring up like the death of Vicus because that is like certainly a milestone in the guild's history. So I mean, I imagine it must have had some effect on the dynamic between Radhasvi and Kiteera. Or am I wrong?
Kit, what do you think? I mean, I think mostly kind of I think from where I stand, it's mostly been the trickle down effect of having the sorts of goals and the way that the Harbingers as a whole are pursuing them and sort of going to war again, kind of
Yeah.
attitude.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I know for me, in character, Kit didn't really know Vicus that well. I mean, I know, she saw him every once in a while. There he is doing the leadership stuff and kind of sitting back seeing things, but she didn't really like interact with him all that much, except for once in a great while, I think. But yeah, when the whole uh, death of Vicus came up in our little serious chat between Kit and Radhasvi, yeah, it was pretty much that. It was like, hey, this is time of war, time to, you know, hunker down and get down to business kind of thing. But yeah, I don't think it really like affected things between them that much. It probably like I guess helped reinforce things. Like, all right, time to get serious, more or less, I guess.
So it wasn't like in character where it was like, okay, General, these guys now have like no head. It's what are we doing here? It's like we can't be protected by them, can we?
Oh, I see. Like we came to we came to the Harbingers because they could help to shield us from our enemies, and now we're beset at all on all sides, kind of thing. Um, anyway, um, that didn't occur to my character. I mean, my character likes a good fight. It was more of and the problem in before was the fact that he felt like he was fighting his allies as much as his, and I think probably to some extent the others who came with Radhasvi. It felt like we were fighting our allies as much as we were fighting our supposed enemies. At least here we may have more enemies, but at least they're pretty clear cut,
Yeah.
for the most part. Um, but you know, uh, yeah. As far as Radhasvi and Kit, really, it's been sort of trying to reestablish. Just kind of starting to reestablish the whole, the something of. I mean, you can't go back, but something of the relationship, a little bit more of the relationship that we had before, where we work closely together, and kind of reaffirming, trust there. It's there are limits to trust with I think almost all the Harbingers characters in the Harbingers, but trying to reestablish reaffirm a sort of trusting working professional and relationship with still that kind of personal. They've got a history together.
Oh yeah. One heck of a history. Come on. We even got drunk together. Come on.
We did. We did.
He Rodolph like never before that point I never imagined him drinking. And then here's Kiteera and Radhasvi together. Drinking.
Okay, I have to hear this. What is Radhasvi like drunk?
I see things.
Yes. Oh jeez. Where do you even begin? I could like just sit here and sift through my screenshots of this entire RP because it was just hilarious. I can quote things for you if you'd like. Oh my gosh. Like let's see here. When he thought the hollow dancers were after him, let's see. It's a very, very serious situation when we're so drunk and Kiteera falls down and I declare that I need assistance. It's a life or death situation. Radosby picks up his comlink. I'm going to quote this, by the way. Picks up his comlink and speaks loudly into his mouthpiece. Silence, calling in backup. Commander Lenare is down. I repeat. And then it says he frowns, realizing that it is not working, but unsure why. He adds staticky sound effects of his own, and then nods, satisfied. Just little moments. Oh gosh, I think my face was hurting from smiling and laughing so much. It was great, but man, what kind of comments do you have on your character being drunk?
Oh goodness. Well, I mean, Kit obviously downed a few more than Radhasvi before the effects started to show, but since she got a head start, uh, they were feeling it about the same time. And yeah, Radhasvi pretty much just goes. He goes into heightened Radhasvi. He goes into heightened Radhasvi mode. Kit gets sentimental, sentimental and weepy. That's what Mari is. And Radhasvi, that was her first phase. Radhasvi, did some reflecting because they were there. The reason why he actually called her there for the purpose of drinking. Only time he's ever done that, really.
Nice.
To mourn the death of a beloved comrade, and so there was a little sadness and reflection, but then it was pretty much just starting to hallucinate and on his part and things like that, and she went along with it, and they sort of go into heightened, like they're in the field. I mean, there's a little bit of that dynamic both of the times they got drunk together, where they start seeing enemies everywhere and sort of automatic default to a tactical situation, usually dire and things like that. Although I do think Radhasvi ended up sleeping on top of Kit on the floor.
Yep.
On the floor of Nimrod.
Yep, sure did. Sure did. There we are in Hutta, and Kit fell down first, and he tried to, come save her, and he just ended up just on top of her, and there we go, just passed out.
I can only imagine like the rumors afterwards.
Well, then the next night was the drunken episode at the Viking Cantina, where lots of people saw. See, Hutta was the very, very personal one. There were lots of sad moments in there, and then it just got ridiculous and pretty funny. But then the Viking Cantina one was just, I think, hilarious from beginning to end. Especially, this was before the murder too, and I remember there were Harbingers there, like hearing what was going on, like Kit and Radhasvi were behind the bar, hunkered down, and it was chaos. And that's what it was, chaos.
It was chaos. There were other Scions gathered around wondering what in the world had become of their commanders. And
yep.
And we meanwhile were in our drunken state, we were thinking that they're not getting behind cover. What are these idiots doing? They must be trying to shoot us with their bodies. That kind of thing.
They're in danger.
Well, I think I'm going to end this podcast now and leaving the listener with a mental image of Kiteera and Radhasvi lying on a cantina floor. And so do you guys have any last thoughts, any last info you may want to embark on the listener here?
So we don't leave them with that image?
Oh man, I don't know. What do you think, General? What should we leave them with?
I think that well, all right. I think one a more
I got it.
Oh, go ahead.
I got it. Instead of them passed out on the cantina floor when they're both drunk, we can leave them with when just Kit was drunk and Radhasvi was trying to get to her bedroom on her ship, and she didn't know that he felt that way about her, and thought he was coming on to her, and she pretty much told him how she always thought he was attractive, and just told him that he was blue, and there's that image instead. You want that one?
Well, you can't end with that. Now that's just going to leave like a whole nother podcast. Like there's like so many questions to ask now.
Well, that's a quick little one. I have the screenshots from that one too. But anyways.
I think I will leave them, the poor listeners, with when Shalmanazar the former the leader of the Scions back in the day. When toward the end, when he turned on Radhasvi, and Kit and some of the others, and Radhasvi and Kit were holed up together in a jail cell in the brig on Shalmanazar's flagship. The only reason why Radhasvi didn't just give it, why he tried to continue to resist, why he didn't just, and why when he was rescued he didn't just leave the Scions to their fate, and characterly, the only reason was he felt obligation to Kit to try to save her from dying in Shalmanazar's brig, and also not to leave her, not to leave Lieutenant Kit back then to Shalmanazar, to fate, but he stick with her. So thick and thin.
Oh, really?
Aww.
Aww.
Isn't that sweet?
Aww.
But there
I think you
go.
brought tears to my eyes, for real.
Imagine that you two have like a lot to talk about now. But
Aww. I didn't
Anyway,
realize. Aww.
we'll wrap this up now. So this is Zara, the host, saying goodbye. And Kiteera.
This is Kiteera. See you guys next time.
And the general himself, Radhasvi.
This is Radhasvi. Thanks, y'all.
Later.